Hello again, and welcome to your next lesson on the development gap. So far in this topic, you have looked at and learned about the causes of uneven development, the consequences in the last couple of lessons, and today we're going to have a look at ways of reducing the development gap, ways of actually trying to begin to solve this inequality around the world. So before we do that though, let's remind ourselves what we have learned so far. A few key questions on the screen there. Answer as many as you can, preferably all of them. Give them a go, and you can check yourself in 10 minutes to see how you've done. So pause down and get cracking with those answers. Fantastic. Okay, good job. Here are some answers for you. Read through them, double check that they are correct. If they're not, do correct them yourself, please. You can flick between the previous slide and this one using the rewind on YouTube. When you've done that, we're ready to move on. It should take no more than 5 minutes. So pause now and get checking. Okay, as I was saying, today is all about this question. How can the development gap be reduced? Please copy that as a title, put the question mark, don't forget the date as well. Look through the two different objectives and make sure you have your equipment ready with you. A couple of minutes to do that. Pause now and get yourself organized. Okay, so there are different strategies that we're going to learn about, as the objective said. We're going to learn about what they are, what they mean, and how they work. How do they reduce the development gap? How do they improve the country, essentially? Before we do that, though, we've got a few key terms to define. You've got 6 terms on the left, from investment to mixed economy, and on the right you have some definitions. At the moment they're mixed up. Could you write out the key term with the definition? You can, for most of them, if not all of them, use the word means. So investment means, and then write the definition. Get cracking with that now. Take 5-6 minutes, and we'll look at the answers on the next slide. Pause the video now. Okay, so here are the answers. If you could use the lines to check. So investment, for example, means giving money or expertise in order to make a profit. Industrial development means changing from primary jobs to secondary and tertiary jobs. Reminder, primary jobs are jobs where you are, for example, farming or mining. You're extracting raw materials, whereas secondary is manufacturing, turning those raw materials into something, and tertiary is offering a service. Tourism, as an example of a tertiary job, is when people visit places for more than one day. Profit is when a business makes more money than it spends. Infrastructure means the basic equipment such as roads, utilities, water supplies, sewage that are needed for a place to function properly. And a mixed economy is when a country has successful industry in all 3 sectors of employment, primary, secondary, and tertiary, meaning that they're not completely reliant or wholly or mostly reliant on 1 or 2 of those, but all 3 share a kind of equal amount. So double check those, correct anything you need to, and then we'll move on to start using some of those terms. Okay, so on to the largest task of this lesson. It's going to take you about 20 minutes or so to do this. You're going to need to open the textbook, if you haven't already, to pages 208 and 209. You should find a PDF version of this attached to the class chart. And you need to use it to complete this table. So begin by reading through it. Investment, industrial development, and tourism are very clearly subtitled, so it should be quite easy to find those sections. If I were you, I would read them one at a time and then fill the table in, just to break it up a bit. If you want to read the whole sheet, because you're going to end up reading it all again anyway, just to fill this table in. You need to copy this table. I would do it landscape on an A4 page, keep it big. I'd rather that there was a lot more space than you needed there, than you didn't have enough space and you had to cram words in. And on the next slide, I'm going to move to that. You can use that for an example of the first one. Investment will be filled in there, and you can see it. So I would recommend that you read through investment, that you put some notes into investment yourself, and then you use the next slide to check it, see how detailed you are, see what I'm expecting of you, make any corrections, and then you can move on to the other 2 independently. So get those pages out, read through investment, jot some points down, and let's move to the next slide when you're ready. So pause now and do that. Okay, so here we go. Here's what I've written about investment. Money is used for, this is what investment is, development of infrastructure, construction of dams, improvements to harbours and ports, development of new industries, and we've given an example, which is China investing in Africa, e.g. a power plant in Zimbabwe and a railway in the Sudan. The economic benefits of this are it provides jobs, employment, it provides income from abroad, and it leads to a decrease in poverty. And the social benefits are education improving and people becoming more politically involved. All of that taken from the textbook. So jot anything down there that you've missed. Now you know what my expectations are. You can move on to the other two, get those done, and we'll look through the answers to those on the next slide. So pause now and get all that finished. Okay, here we go. So industrial development is when a country increases the amount of people working in the secondary and tertiary sectors. So we've got fewer people farming and doing other primary jobs, and more people working in factories and in all the various tertiary jobs there are. We are also, though, going to exploit natural resources, for example, palm oil and oil in Malaysia. We're going to build new factories, for example, proton cars in Malaysia, and this starts the multiplier effect. Why have we picked Malaysia there? Well, because Malaysia links to your tropical rainforest work as well. And the multiplier effect, if you've understood this, take a little bit to get your head around it. But the multiplier effect, essentially where by increasing industrial development, by increasing the secondary sector, we are multiplying money, essentially. So we're taking, let's say the example I like to give is a tree that cost, let's say a bit of timber from a tree that was worth £10. Let's say it was worth £10, and we then send it to a factory. That factory turns that timber into something useful, let's say a table. That table is now worth £100, and it's the same amount of wood. The wood was worth £10, it's now worth £100 because of the time and the skills put into manufacturing something from it, changing it from a big lump of wood that's pretty useless into something that's useful to people. We have multiplied the amount of money. It can also be applied to the idea that now we have a factory making tables. Well, all those people working in that factory are also now earning probably a higher wage than they were before. Let's say they were all farmers before, they're now earning a higher wage. They've got more money to spend. So they're now going to go out and spend that money and buy things themselves, therefore creating jobs for other people in the manufacturing and selling of those things. And those people are then going to earn more money as a result. And then they're going to buy more things, and so on and so on. So this idea of the multiplier effect is how, think about when you multiply something over and over again, you are constantly increasing the amount of it you have. And this is about money here. It's about increasing and multiplying the amount of money we have. And that is how an economy grows and develops. The economic benefits to the country, therefore, of industrial development are more employment, higher incomes, encourages trade with other countries, and moving towards a mixed economy, that key term we came across earlier in this lesson. And the social benefits, improved housing, and once again, improved education. Tourism, tropical beaches, spectacular landscapes, abundant wildlife, these are the kind of things that are going to attract people to these tourist destinations, which means that they get investment from abroad. Meaning, go back to that first point, this is businesses, companies investing and spending their money, same building a new hotel in this case, or building new facilities for people to use, toilets, access to clean water, could even result in electricity being provided to an area, purely because they want the tourists to have them as well. And the Caribbean islands are a great example. In fact, we're going to come back to that in a later lesson when we look at Jamaica, specifically how tourism has improved and developed Jamaica. The economic benefits, well, increased income. And the social benefits, improved education once again for the third time, improved infrastructure, as I just mentioned, and improved housing as well. So there we go. Lots and lots of benefits of these three things. Hopefully you have understood them. If not, email your teacher, ask them, understand that some of what's here is quite advanced, quite difficult to get your head around, certainly remotely as well, quite challenging. But hopefully the textbook combined with a bit of explanation there has helped you to understand them. So check that, add anything you've missed, spend 5 minutes on that, pause the video now. Okay, so to finish, that's what we're doing today, just looking at those three strategies. We've got plenty more to come over the next few lessons, but they're the introduction to this. True or false? I'd like you to copy the sentence out and then at the end write either true or false. Simple as that. This should take 5 to 10 minutes to do. Get cracking now, and I'll show you the answers on the next and final slide. Pause now. Okay, here we go. So investment is a loan. No, it's not. It's not a loan. A loan is when you're expecting exactly what you've given to be paid back. The idea in investment is that you are spending money as a country, as a business, as an individual, in order to make profit from it. You're improving business, you're improving something so that you can gain from it. Not a loan. They're different. 2, 3, 4, and 5, all correct. I'll let you just read through those. Hopefully you've already read them. So yeah, they're all spot on. Number 6, tourism always leads to development. Not true. There are many disadvantages to tourism. And like I said earlier, Jamaica, when we look at that, we'll look at some in a little bit more detail. Number 7, Malaysia has undergone industrial development by setting up coal mines. Absolutely not. That would not be industrial development, because industrial development means moving away from primary jobs like coal mines and moving towards manufacturing and service jobs, secondary and tertiary jobs. So that is incorrect as well. If you've made any errors there, then correct your true or false statements. If you were to come back and use this for revision and it was wrong, you might take forward a misconception and revise it incorrectly. Spend a couple of minutes doing that, but otherwise that is the end of this lesson and our first 3 ways of reducing the development gap. Any questions, like I said, get hold of your teacher. Otherwise, have a great day. Thank you for your time, and I'll speak to you soon. Goodbye.